My dear students of class 12, today I shall read and analyze a new text for you. The name of the text that I shall read and analyze in this audio clip is Strong Roots. I repeat, that name of the text is Strong Roots, and this is written by APJ Abdul Kalam. The name of APJ Abdul Kalam is familiar to every one of you. He is a very popular figure of India, and not only a popular figure of India, but also he is a famous personality whose fame is worldwide. APJ Abdul Kalam was the 11th president of India, and apart from this identity, he had another identity. He was a famous space scientist of India, and his fame was not only across the country but across the whole world. The full name of APJ Abdul Kalam is Abul Pakir Jainalabdin Abdul Kalam. Abul Pakir Jainalabdin Abdul Kalam. Popularly known as Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Though he was a scientist, he had a keen interest in literature. He used to like reading various literary works, and also he used to like writing some articles. And among his writings, which left a mark across the nation and across the globe, is his autobiography Wings of Fire. His autobiography Wings of Fire was published in the year 1999, and soon after the publication of this autobiography, he became so much popular across the nation, not only across the nation but also across the globe. In this text, in this book, Wings of Fire, he vividly described his entire life, since his childhood. The autobiography Wings of Fire, the autobiography of Kalam, Wings of Fire, was Kalam's best-selling book. And the chapter Strong Roots, this is a chapter from the book Wings of Fire. And this is the first chapter from the book Wings of Fire. Now, as Wings of Fire was Kalam's biography, autobiography, and Strong Roots is the first chapter from this book, we shall find in this text, in this part, the early life of APJ Abdul Kalam. In this part, Kalam had vividly described how his childhood days were, how he spent his early days of, how he spent his days of early childhood. And after reading this text, Strong Roots, we can be able to understand and explain by ourselves why this part of the text is called Strong Roots. Okay, now I would like to start reading the text. The text Strong Roots by APJ Abdul Kalam. I was born in a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameswaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Then the state Tamil Nadu was known as Madras, and Rameswaram, an island town, was within this state. APJ Abdul Kalam was born in this small island town, and he came of in a middle class Tamil family. Though you know APJ Abdul Kalam was by religion a Muslim, but Kalam had never given his identity as a Muslim, but he regarded himself to be a Tamil by birth, as he was born in the state of Tamil Nadu. My father Jainal Abdin had neither much formal education nor much wealth. His father's name was Jainal Abdin. This name Jainal Abdin was added to his name Abul Pakir Jainal Abdin Abdul Kalam. And his father Jainal Abdin had neither much formal education. He was not much educated formally, or he was not a person who received much education from the formal ongoing system of education in our country, nor much wealth. He was not so much wealthy or rich. Despite these disadvantages, though these were the disadvantages of Jainal Abdin, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He possessed, or he occupied, or he owned a great innate wisdom, or a great wisdom that was acquired by him by birth, or this was an inborn quality, and a true generosity of spirit. By nature, he was truly a generous person or kind-hearted person. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Asiamma. His mother's name was Asiamma, and she was an ideal helpmate of his father Jainal Abdin. She was so much cooperative. to his father, Jainalabdin. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. Kalam's family was a large family. There were many family members. There were many members in their family. But here Kalam stated that he cannot remember, he cannot call up how many outsiders would come to their house whom his mother Asiyamma would entertain in their family by feeding them almost every day. And the number of the people who would come to their house every day and would take meal in their house every day was much more than the totality of the members of their family. So that was really a good environment that prevailed in their house. There was undoubtedly a very good bonding between his father and mother, and so many people would come to their house and would get entertained in their family. Very warm welcome would be given to them. So definitely it can be said that in their family there was a very good environment, a very healthy environment. My parents were widely regarded as an ideal couple. Everybody regarded his parents to be an ideal couple. As I had already stated, that there was a very good bonding between his father and mother. My mother's lineage was the more distinguished, one of her forebears having been bestowed the title of Bahadur by the British. Kalam stated that his mother's lineage or his mother's parentage, his mother's family was much more distinguished, was much more privileged, was much more renowned in the respect that one of her forebears or one of Kalam's mother's ancestors was bestowed, was given the title, was offered the title, or was rewarded the title of Bahadur by the British. Then the British would give the title Bahadur to those who were renowned to some extent. So from this angle or from this point of view, Kalam stated that his mother's family was much more famous than that of his father's. That of his father. I was one of many children. There are many children in their family, and Kalam was one of them. A short boy with rather undistinguished looks. Kalam stated that he was not so nice looking, not so handsome looking. Rather, he was a short boy with undistinguished looks, or not so beautiful looks he had. He had not so beautiful looks, not so handsome looks. Though he was born to tall and handsome parents, though his parents were handsome, his mother was beautiful, his father was so handsome, but he was not so. He was a short boy. His height was so short, and his looks were not so attractive. We lived in our ancestral house. They had a house which was built by their ancestors, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. And the house was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was fairly large Pakka house. Fairly large. It was fair house and it was large house. It was Pakka house or made of limestone and brick. The house built, the house made of limestone and brick was called Pakka house. On the Mosque Street in Rameswaram, Kalam's house was situated or located on the Mosque Street, a famous street in Rameswaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. Kalam stated that his father was austere, a type of person who is backdated in thought or in view. So Kalam's father was old-minded or backdated person. He would never like the comforts and luxuries which were regarded by him to be inessential, absolutely unnecessary. He would consider any kind of comfort or any kind of luxury as useless, unnecessary, or inessential. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothing. Kalam's father would regard three things as necessary things of human life. One is food, second is medicine, and third is clothing. So he was a person of very simple habits, or he was a very simple minded person. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, materially and emotionally. Now, from this points, Kalam came to believe that his childhood life was very much secure, and secure firstly in materialistic points of view, and secondly in emotional point of view. Materially, or the wealth, how much wealth they had was sufficient, was enough. And how much love, how much affection that he would get from his family was, of course, was certainly enough. So his childhood, from these points of view, from these points, or on these points, he claimed that his childhood life was very much secure. It was secure materially and emotionally. It can be said, in other words, it can be said that in his childhood life there was not much disturbance, not much problem, not much family disputes. He had not ever experienced any problem, any family dispute, etc. So his childhood was very much secure. I normally ate with my mother sitting on the floor of the kitchen. From his childhood, from the childhood days, Kalam had been grown up within a very normal habits. In normal way, he would like to eat with his mother. He was very much fond of his mother. So during taking meals, he always would prefer sitting with his mother. And he would like to sit on the floor of the kitchen, not on the dining table or in sophisticated ways. He would like to sit on the floor of the kitchen with his mother in very normal way. She would place a banana leaf before me whenever time came for him to take meals. He would sit on the floor of the kitchen and his mother would place a banana leaf before me, on which she then ladled rice, aromatic sambar, a variety of sharp homemade pickle, and a dollop of fresh coconut chutney. He had a special liking for a meal. And the meal that you like to have was very simple. Kalam's mother would decorated rice on the banana leaf placed before him, and she would offer him aromatic sambar or a very scented sambar. Sambar means a mixture of various types of cereals. Which is usually prepared with a special kind of masala, sambar masala, a very much favorite item of the South Indians. A variety of sharp homemade pickle. Kalam would prefer homemade pickle that was very much sharp, and a dollop of fresh coconut chutney. You know, the South Indians normally prefer coconut chutneys, and very usually Kalam would also prefer to take a dollop of fresh coconut chutney. So Kalam was also with very simple habits, whether it is in regard to taking meals or others. The Shiva temple, which made Rameswaram so famous to pilgrims, was about a 10-minute walk from our house. There was a famous Shiva temple, and the Shiva temple was famous, and it also made the town so famous to the pilgrims across the nation. And this famous Shiva temple was about a 10-minute walk from Kalam's house. Our locality was predominantly Muslim, but there were quite a lot of Hindu families too. Their locality had predominance or the majority of the residents of the town Rameswaram was the Muslim. But there were quite a lot of Hindu families too who lived there quite amicably with the Muslim neighbors. Or it can be said that there was a communal harmony in their locality. The Muslim community had the majority, but the Hindu community had no problem in living with them in friendly manner. So there was harmonious situation. Clearly speaking, communal harmony was prevalent in their locality. There was a very old mosque in our locality where my father would take me for evening prayers. In their locality, there was an old mosque. There, his father would take him every evening for attending evening prayers. I had not the faintest idea of the meaning of the Arabic prayers chanted. There, Kalam had seen Arabic prayers were being chanted. Arabic prayers were chanted inside the mosque, and Kalam had no idea at all, no knowledge at all. He had not the least knowledge to understand what the prayers had meant. But I was totally convinced, though he had not any idea about the meaning of the prayers chanted in Arabic language. He had a conviction or firm faith in the fact that by prayer they reached God. Though he would never be able to understand the meaning of the prayers chanted in Arabic language, he had the idea, and he was much confirmed of that by prayer one reached God. When my father came out of the mosque after the prayers, people of different religions would be sitting outside waiting for him. After the prayer was over, when his father would come out of the mosque, he would have to face many people of various religions, irrespective of the Hindu or the Muslims and so on. The people of various religions would wait outside for him. They would be sitting outside waiting for Kalam's father to come and to face them. Why? Many of them offered bowls, water to my father. Kalam had seen that the people who would wait outside the mosque for his father would offer to the bowls of water to his father. And then Kalam had seen that his father would dip his fingertips in them or in the bowls of water. And when he would dip his fingertips in the bowls of water, one by one or one after another, he would say a prayer. So thereby his father would sanctify the water of the bowls that would be offered to him by the people of various religions who would wait for him outside the mosque. So his father would dip his fingertips in the water of the bowls, and at that moment he would say a prayer. This water was then carried home for invalids. Then Kalam had observed that this water was then carried by the people for the invalids at their homes. Invalids means the people who are not physically stable or who are not physically fit. I also remember people visiting our home to offer thanks after being cured. Now, Kalam had also seen that those people, those people would come, would visit their house, would come to their house or to visit his father to thank his father after being cured or after the invalids being cured. So we have seen here that Kalam's father was a truly religious person. He was a pious person, and people of all religions had great respect in their minds for him, great respect for him in their minds. They would believe that Kalam's father had a divine power, so they would come to the mosques every evening and would wait outside the mosque for Kalam's father. And when the prayer was over and Kalam's father would come out of the mosque, they would offer the bowls of water to him, and Kalam's father would dip his fingertips in them and say a prayer, and thereby would sanctify the water, which was then carried by the people to their homes for the invalids at their homes. And some days later, when the invalids would get cured, the people from their house, or those people who had brought the water sanctified by Kalam's father, would come to their house to offer thanks to Kalam's father. Father always smiled and asked them to thank Allah the Merciful. Now Kalam stated that his father was a very broad-minded. I had also read a line for you that he had a great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. So Kalam's father was generous by heart, generous at heart, or so much kind-hearted, broad-minded person. When people would come to offer thanks to him after the invalids being cured with the water sanctified by him, father would smile and ask them or suggest them or appeal to them to thank Allah the Merciful, Allah or the Almighty, who was full of mercy. He would say to them that Allah was full of mercy. So they all of them should offer thanks to Allah. He was not a person who deserves thanks from them, as was stated by Kalam's father to them. So Kalam, from these discussions, we can say that Kalam was a very sensible, sensible man, or as a boy, he was a very sensible. He was very sensible. He had very much mature senses, even in his childhood. He has very much comprehending power, even when he was a mere child. Or Kalam's, or it can also be said that Kalam's power of observation and the power of sensing any matter were very much admirable, were very much noticeable. As he had comprehending power, very much comprehending power, as well as power of observing anything or observing any matter, he had all the memories of his childhood as much as afresh. Now, dear students, I would end this audio clip here. And very shortly, I would bring to you another audio clip that would consist of my analysis, of my reading and analysis of the later part of the text Strong Roots by APJ Abdul Kalam. Now, before finishing this audio clip, I would like to say to you, dear students, please listen to this audio clip very carefully, very attentively, and after that, go through the text and try to comprehend the meaning of every line. And I hope, I believe that you will do that and comprehend the text, the part of the text that I have read and analyzed in this audio clip very well. Okay, goodbye.